What is going on, everyone? I am just having a little fun today because I set up some terrain and I decided I wanted to showcase my entire Republic army and was looking for ways to kind of do that. And I'm trying to find a good camera angle here to showcase a little bit of stuff. And some things I think turned out better than others. And I was making a little extra room, doing some cleaning out here in the garage and in the setup area. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I got all this terrain and haven't been playing as much lately, so I've thought let's set everything up, take some pictures. I've been trying to post more to social media. I've been trying to do a little bit more on Twitter and Instagram. And one of the things I love about having larger armies, and like you can't always use them all the time. So like let's get them set up and take some photos and do some of that. And also I was going through everything and I'm looking at some of my failed paint jobs and some of the ones that came out worse and some of the ones that came out better, and just kind of going through everything. And I've got some that I'm pretty proud of, and then some that I'm like, oh, these were okay, like that. I think we all have our stuff kind of like that. So hopefully you guys are doing well. Pow just saw the picture on Facebook. Yeah, I put some photos up and I'm like, you know what? There's too much. There's so much detail I'm not going to get in all of these photos, right? So like for example, oh, we got a super chat. Okay, hopefully we're back. Are we back? I think we're back. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Here I'm trying to get everything oriented. This particular one, these were done initially just to be a kind of a simpler blue. I've waffled back and forth on whether I wanted my Republic color scheme. Like obviously the plastoid armor was going to be in white, but we were going to have a lot of blue in there too for like the metal. And so that's what this guy was trying to be. He was trying to be more blue. But one of the things I really love is the basing on these. This was some of the Order 66 miniatures, like their destroyed B1 battle droids. So this one, and I did another one to go along with them. Oh, the decals would, and I can easily add that to these without any problem. I can easily add some decals here, no problem at all. But like, I just love it. Like this guy is, this guy's just down, like sitting on there crunching on these guys. And he's just looking down. I decided to angle him down forward, like he just killed a bunch and he's making sure they're dead, And so I thought this was a good way because I was not a big fan of the ATRTs coming out for these since we already had them for the Rebels, and I was like, oh, they're doing this sort of thing again. I'm like, I already have ATRTs. I already have 4 ATRTs for the Rebels because when the game was new, I wanted to buy 3 core sets plus 1 of each expansion. So it was nuts. So I already have way more ATRTs than I need. So do I really need these 2? And at least this was a nice way to make them distinct. Now I don't always do such a good job with basing. My Rebels and Imperials, I did like very, very basic basing. I was still learning basing, so I had no idea what I was doing. By the time we got to the Republic, I started putting crackle paint on there. So, and the crackle paint that I used was actually from Green Stuff World. Green Stuff World had sent me out a bunch of stuff to kind of use and promote. And I've done that, and I'm not under no obligation to promote them. I've never been paid or anything like that, but they have sent me some product. But I really, really like this crackle paint, and I'm probably going to order some more because this one is just about all gone. They have different types now too, so go, yeah. My only complaint is that their website is difficult to navigate. Like it's like they have so many things under each category. You have to go through pages and pages of stuff to find like all the crackle paint, So I guess you could probably just search for crackle paint. Maybe that'll work, but. I've seen other websites have been a little easier for me to find what I'm looking for. I guess they just have so much product. But yeah, so this is kind of a basic crackle paint with a little bit of white underneath there. And then some of the other ones, then I started saying, hey, let me do some fun stuff. Let me paint it red underneath and then put the crackle paint on thicker and then put a little wash in there on top of that too. So, really kind of deserty, kind of cracked earth kind of stuff. And then I tried to make, because I wanted all my clones to, at least all my basic clones to be kind of more or less white, but I also wanted to be able to tell them apart. Now, one way you can do that is just by painting the rims, which is a good idea. It is a good idea to paint the rims, but I made all my rims for my clones mostly red. So, oh yeah, you probably didn't recognize. By the way, in case you didn't recognize who this guy is, this is actually C3PO. I know he's got a red arm there, so you might not have recognized who he was. So had a disclaimer. I had to throw that in there. But so I was doing all my Republic in red, and then I eventually just kind of got away from that and stopped doing that because I did some ARC Troopers here, and I did dark kind of ARC Troopers, and I really love this color scheme. I did some edge highlighting. This was a little bit more recent stuff. I wanted them to look a little better than some of my other stuff. So this is kind of like mid-level good, at least for me. You know, like some of it's a little on the sloppy. If we get really close, you can see it's like there's some imperfections there. But from tabletop length, I think they look really good. But that doesn't match everything else I was doing because now I kind of went blue, but I went a little darker. When the Bad Batch kind of came out, I did this tank in like Bad Batch colors, and I did the driver sort of as like a Bad Batch to it. I just got a message from Sean too. How you doing, Shauna? That's funny. So yeah, but yeah. Like I liked this guy, and look out if you guys haven't seen my buddy Sean's Instagram. He posts a lot of his stuff. He has a really really cool Republic Army setup, but I've also had some bad stuff. I'm going to show you guys some of the bad stuff. I don't know if you guys want to see my ARC. I did some troopers of ARC Troopers that I have never used in a game yet, and I don't know if I will ever use because I'm so ashamed at how pitiful they came out. But they're ARC Reactor Troopers, so I wanted them to look like Iron Man shooting out a unibeam. So ARC Reactor Troopers, it's supposed to be a joke. They ended up coming out really poorly, and I'm like, you know what? That's okay. They can be a punchline. And what I did is, since I didn't want to just like order any aftermarket stuff, I used the flight stand bases as the ring for the arc reactor, and I used some Green Stuff World acrylic rods as the little shooty part. So I did a whole unit of guys like this, and I wanted them to all be kind of different versions of Iron Man's armor. So this guy is kind of like from the movie, like I think the Mark 42 or whatever, the gold, a little bit more like gold and a darker red. I was trying to do something fun. I have more of a pure gold one. Here, he's just crazy, and the yellow didn't come out as clean as I'd have liked. Also, very splotchy. Have kind of like an Iron Man 2 sort of color scheme here, a little bit more silver and red. And then one of the guys from Iron Man 3, like he had some kind of bluish one. I think it was an underwater version. So all of those together are the Arc Reactor Troopers, but they are they're kind of a joke of a unit. I did some of my regular clones with a little bit of color highlights, and I really like these guys. This is like the mint chocolate chip unit because I did like I think an Agrax Earthshade instead of Null Oil on them, and then that kind of mint green color gave them kind of a brown and green look, which honestly it makes me want to take a bite out of them every time I see them because they make me want some mint chocolate chip ice cream. So some of those guys came out pretty good. I kind of like the way my Anakin Skywalker came out. I'm not a fan of doing faces. I hate it. I'm starting to work on trying to get better at faces, though. That's like my next painting goal is to try and get better at faces. And I think I did okay. Like up close. Like normally you're never going to see him up close this much, but since I do a lot of photography, I'm like, you know what? I should try and do his face a little better. I think he came out better than Obi-Wan because I did Obi-Wan very early. And so here's Obi-Wan. And I don't even know I didn't even do Obi-Wan's eyeballs, really. I just did his eyebrows. I didn't even do I think I skipped his eyes altogether. I just said, screw it. Nobody's going to see that. Nobody's going to see that. Here's Padme. I don't know. She's all right. And just like the face, the wash and I didn't get the highlighting on the face very good for her. So I'm still working on faces, right? So, just because I happen to have a YouTube channel or whatever, like doesn't mean that everybody's like, that I'm magically good at doing faces. So if you're a painter out there, don't worry. if something doesn't work out that good. Even people on social media are still working and learning. And I did these guys. Of course, I think everybody who's got Phase 2 clones has done a unit of the Ahsoka uh, guys, and these guys I did kind of in a hurry. I like it could have been cleaner, but they came out okay, and they definitely look good at a distance, but not so great up close. And I did like a regular 501st unit. Here, I'll take you around and we'll look at all of them. And then, of course, we've got the Essen Obi-Wan. Gosh, I kind of wish I'd have done him a little better. Yeah. So, it looks all right again from a distance. Let's zoom out and let's look at some of the vehicles, because this is the other thing that I kind of wanted to show off a little bit, is some of the vehicles like this thing right here, right? So I did the interior of the cockpit here actually in pink, because I wasn't going to put any LEDs in there, but I did want it to kind of have the effect that there was some lighting in there. Gosh, you can't even see the pilot, right? I went with an Imperial TIE pilot. You can kind of see him in there a little bit. There's nobody up in that top TIE pilot section. So, because I glued the top part on and I couldn't fit the pilot in there. But this is a whole airbrushing technique where I wanted this guy to I'm going to run him with the Empire also, of course, and I want him to be able to drop off Vader. So I wanted to go for Vader's lightsaber, kind of look like that. And I said, hey, you know what? So I was going to originally do, like a white long stripe with red around the edge, so it would look like a huge long lightsaber and kind of make it glow like that. But I didn't think my nozzle, like I wanted the stripe to only be about this thick, and I'm like, I think my airbrush nozzle is going to be way too thick to do something like that. So instead, I decided, let me go the other way and then just do the stripes in this way, so it's like on off. This way, it's a little more versatile. It still has that kind of Vader's lightsaber kind of effect, but then I also after I do that, I did the taping of it, and then sprayed over. But instead of going for the blue just yet, I went with this. Like actually, it looks black, but it's actually a really, really dark purple. Although it might as well just be black. That's right here on the outside of that, because I wanted it to have a border, to make it kind of contrast. And this was a tricky technique because, doing this whole border on there, I had to tape it off again. So I had to let everything dry, put another piece of tape, cut tape that was just a little bit bigger than the actual stripe that was already there, and put that over top and try to lay it over to where it was equidistant between the top and the bottom. And that also provided its own tricks, in difficulty. Like you can see right here, it's not perfectly lined up. And then there were some parts where the tape wasn't on all the way, so some bled through a little bit. But I figure if it's a lightsaber, I can afford to have a little bit of a ripply effect, because that just makes it look a little bit more realistic, kind of like a lightsaber. So I'm okay with it, the imperfections there. But yeah, so then I did the whole purple thing, let that dry, put the tape on. Now I had one piece of tape covering two aspects of color, and then I did the like combinations of blues and grays for all of this, and then for the paneling, I did. It was just a watered down black, but I put it was mostly the contrast paint, I think Black Templars, which is a really, really good contrast paint. That's about it. I did a little bit of this lighting under here, and I sprayed to kind of have a little bit of ambient kind of light glow from the spotlight on the bottom. And I did some stuff inside there. You can see there's a little bit of detail inside. I don't think people are going to look inside all that much, but I did make both doors open. I thought of a cool rule for this too, for dropping people off. Like if you have a building, like right here, should they have to get out from the ground, or could you jump them onto the roof? Like I think you should be able to drop people on the roof if your base is touching the building. I think you should be able to do that. So there's that guy. And for when I'm running them with the Republic, I decided I would also test that paint scheme on this tank. This one used to be blue and white, but I wasn't happy with it, and I ended up repainting it multiple times. The driver's still blue and white. This was going to be a 501st tank, but I just wasn't happy with the paint job. So I decided to kind of do the same thing, the same color scheme as the lat, and I did them at the same time, so I didn't have to remember what mix of paints I was using and stuff like that. So yeah, so they're going to go together, and I used a little bit of red contrast paint, on some of the guns after they were already black. So the red kind of gave them kind of a nice kind of almost metallic but dark kind of look for a lot of the weaponry on there. So I just, it's not super detailed, but I like the color scheme. I like that it kind of fits with some of the earlier paint jobs that I have done for some of these. This is stuff I did a long time ago, and these are also kind of in that black and red sort of thing. So I like it's pretty predominant that I have so much black and red. Heck, this one is even purple, which is a nice kind of blend of like the blue and red. What about the fleet? Oh man, we've got the fleet, the Armada fleet. That I have to do a video for that too. Yeah, I don't have enough room on this table to set up my Armada fleet right now. We'll do the Armada. You should have known, but from the thumbnail, I was doing Legion stuff though today. But no, yeah, we just got the three. We just got the three Venators in, and then I've got the first Recusant, and there's more Recusants coming. So yeah, there's. Oh boy, the whole fleet is going to be a fun one. James says, I'm about to paint my first clones in the core set. They should go for the 104th, 212th, 7th Sky Corps, or the 501sts. Oh, man. Yeah, honestly, you should go for your favorite. You might even want to just do some basic clones first. Just have them be basic white, just to kind of get that main thing down before you add any other colors. I am a little rusty on some of all of them. I got a lot of people talking about Wolfpack and Plo Koon in the game. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think we're gonna get Plo Koon. I think he might be. It's a tough question though, because I don't know if we'll get Plo Koon before we get Mace Windu, because Mace Windu is gonna be very iconic and is gonna look really cool. But I feel like Plo Koon will have a big impact in the game because he cared so deeply about the clones specifically. He could be a really cool commander that gives a lot of clone benefits. Like he could be kind of like how Rex works so well with a clone-heavy army. Plo Koon could do something similar. So I think Plo Koon has more gameplay to add than a lot of other Jedi. But then again, while certain other Jedi might be cooler on the tabletop, like I know a lot of people would love to have Mace Windu, but maybe Mace Windu would just help other Jedi. Like Yoda is going to do some really cool things too. I can't wait to see more of what Yoda can do. So let's see, what else do we have over here? I showed you the Bad Batch tank. Let's take. I'm gonna pick this up. We're gonna take this off, and we'll come around and we'll take a look at some different angles of everything. Now, this terrain that I've got out here is a combination of a couple of things. This is a Monster Fight Club playmat. We've got Urban Mats buildings. Like this is some of this terrain over here is Urban Mats buildings. And I think this is GameMat.eu right here. And then here, this piece is GameMat.eu as well. You think they should also release Wolf? Oh, yeah. I think all of the named clones have a definitive place in this game, and Wolf is pretty high on that list. I think we need to also get Heavy, and I think we need to get, like all the guys from, what would we call Echo Heavy 5s? They had their whole platoon. There was a name for it, and it's just I can't think of it right now off the top of my head. I know one of you guys know. They're something. Cody. Cody is probably Cody's probably one of the first that we really need to get. I agree. There we go. Domino Squad. Thank you to Legion Master Jacopo. Yes, the Rookies episode was great, but yeah, Domino Squad. And let's see. All right, so let's see if we can name everybody from Domino Squad. It was Echo and Fives, who are right here, and then Heavy, and then we had Joker, or was it Joker? Or it's Cut Up. You don't see as much of Heavy, but Heavy, granted, you do see a little bit of him, and I think he would be awesome in this game. So Heavy, Echo 5s, Cut Up, and I think there's one more that I'm just running out of here. But yeah. But I mean, it's mostly Echo and 5s kind of towards the end, But Oh, and Droid Bait. Wow, yeah, yeah. See, like I need to go back and watch all the Clone Wars again. It's just it's such a time sink, and there's so many other shows that I want to watch right now. For you guys, for you Republic players out there, how many of you guys left? Like, how many of you glued these in or left this like movable or not? I'm curious. And did anybody assemble a bark without the sidecar attached at all? Granted, I'm not a WYSIWYG player, so like if I wanted to run a bark without the sidecar, I would have no problem having the sidecar physically on the model. I'd just mark it, or I would do what I could to make it very clear to my opponent what was what. And whether that means I turn one around just to designate that one is the speed 3 one or something like that. I would do something like that. But yeah, I try to, make it very clear. Cayman Rider, the Blue Knight, says he's planning on kit bashing a clone commander, so he's holding both a blaster and a halberd, wondering what I would recommend. Well, like, I don't know of any halberds that are readily available, so, I mean, you'd have to probably get something like that custom done. But, I mean, what I would recommend is if you're going to do that, maybe go for a generic clone commander. Oh, I don't think I have everybody out here, as a matter of fact. I've got some other guys that aren't finished. Well, let's just see. Oh, yeah. Because I've generic, the specialists, he's not done yet. He's got a lot of work to do still. He's mostly done. But I've got all the specialists, and they're not done. I've started on the commander. What you could do is if you've got your Type 1, your Phase 1 commander box, you've got these guys, all right? And they kind of look like this. This guy's not done that well. But you could totally cut off the binoculars and put the halberd in that hand. This way you keep that hand with the blaster. And this halberd, you could have it like anchored into the ground and coming up that way. So, and if you wanted him to be Phase 2, just put a regular head on him so you don't have to worry about, all of that stuff. That's what I would recommend. So if you're thinking about doing something like that, there you go. That's what I would suggest. Another thing that I really love is taking some of those acrylic rods, like some people use, and gluing them onto your Z6, so you get all this whole blasty blast effect. I've used these in some videos before, and some people really liked those because it gives a cool feeling. I did one of my Phase 1s that way, and I've done one of my Phase 2s that way too. Although this one kind of angled a little bit. It's tricky to get them to stay in there because you kind of have to use. I think I used super glue in there, but it just makes it look so much cooler. I love that. I love the little things like the hobbyist aspect of this game is so much fun, and you don't have to be great. You don't have to be great to enjoy it. You really don't. I really enjoy it, and I'm definitely not. I mean, shoot, look at these ARC troopers, man. Look at this nonsense. I'm definitely not great at painting. Would a Lego halberd work? I think a Lego halberd would be way too thick. I think you should start looking at some D&D minis. I bet you could find a Dungeons and Dragons miniature that would have a halberd on there. R2D2 came out pretty good. I think he's an easier one to do because he's got all those built-in recesses, Yeah, I think that'll definitely work. So yeah, this is one of the things that I think is fun to do from time to time. If you've got terrain or if you've got a lot of minis, just kind of set them all up and take some pictures of them from time to time. But yeah, but let's see. Quick question: you want the Star Wars Legion? You want to play the Grand Army of the Republic and want to paint your clones as a custom clone Legion? You absolutely can. Like this, guys, I just made them up. You know what? They're mint chocolate chip squad because they're kind of a little bit of a brown and they got that green in there too. So they got some chocolate sauce on them and they got that minty trim, right? So this is mint chocolate chip squad. You can do whatever you want. I made these guys kind of black and blue. And you don't have to put any story behind them, but you can if you want. If you've seen my battle reports when I'm playing against Sean's clones are female, and that goes back to our RPG. he actually puts a whole story into his, and some of his new ones, he's really put a lot of story in. He's named individual members of his clones and given them their own backstories. But his wife was playing a female clone in our role-playing game, and she was a top secret experimental clone unit where they used Bo-Katan's DNA to create their clones. And so it was, and it was super top secret and stuff. So she kept her helmet on the whole time, and except when we were kind of in private and stuff. Only the people who had like top secret clearance got to know about it. So that was really fun. But at the same time, now that if you've been watching The Bad Batch, you know that like things like that aren't quite so crazy anymore. So so it's really cool to just to kind of have fun with this and do whatever you want. I think though, if I could go back, I wish I would have done better basing options from the get-go, because like I think it just makes a mini so much better to have a really cool base effect. One thing that I do like though is with the crackle paint. If you're ever going to use crackle paint, it's super easy. You just kind of put it on and just let it dry, and then come back like the next day and it's done these kind of effects. But if you're going to do that, put some paint on there before you do it. Oh my goodness, this is all right. So here we go. I took him off so you can see kind of the whole effect. It's really pretty. All right. It's really pretty. You can I went and put like, I guess, a purple wash on here. I don't know why I went with purple, but I painted everything orange beforehand, and it comes out looking so nice, Really, really nice. I usually tape off the clear stands, but on the ones that are low to the ground, you're not going to see the stand anyway, so I didn't really care about that. There we go. Oh man, look at this. I don't usually spend as much time on the bottom either. Like that's the color it was before I put the black over top, right? Because I'm never going to see the bottom of this thing. I didn't even know that's what the bottom looked like. There you go. This is the Bad Batch, though. Bad Batch tank, right? But yeah, so you can really get into these games. Just have fun, put them together, paint. You don't even have to paint them right away if you don't want. Practice with it, unpainted, and then take your time. Prime them on a nice dry day. Don't prime them if it's been raining or if it's humid, But yeah. Oh man, I used some metallic paints on one too. This is one with the green stuff, World Red metallics. That came out really cool. It's a little brushy right there though on the inside. But man, I think the next thing I need to invest in is a paint mixer. They have these little arms that they vibrate really, 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 really fast, because some of my paints, especially ones that I haven't used in a while. You guys want to see my paint rack? This is a little messy, but I can show you. I've been doing some work and trying to clean up over here a little bit. Here we go. This is kind of I've got my Vallejo, my bottles. This is all broken token stuff too. I've got all kinds of little tools and bits and cleaning things and drill bits to drill gun holes in there. I've got other extra little bottles and some cool stuff like that in there. Got some airbrush stuff. I got the airbrush soaking right here because I left some stuff in it. I've got these things if you like using the handles. And that's about it. I got my, and then this is just a regular table. I had a whole thing of contrast paint kind of spill out over here one day. On, of course, my sprue cutters, But yeah, so this is kind of the painting area. Got my airbrush paints all set up right there. I think it's time for another rack. I think, yeah. So, yeah. What is the color scheme for the female clones? Orange is like their main color. They're like, I think it's because Bo-Katan's hair. She's like a fiery redhead or something like that. I think that has a little bit to do with it. So, all right, guys. Well, that's just kind of a little tour of my Republic for now. There'll be more stuff coming up. We got more Wookiees coming out. Got Obi-Wan hanging out up top there. We got the 501st. Over there we got some other guys hanging out down here. Oh, this is a whole nother unit too. They're just they were maybe worked with Cody and they wanted to be a little bit like Cody's colors. Some of the specialists, phase 1 extras. We've got Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Padme right there. But I'm looking forward to busting out the big vehicles too. Be cool to do a Grand Army three big vehicles all at once. That'd be nuts. All right, you guys. Well, that's going to do it for today. I want to thank you for hanging out with me today. I will talk to you guys soon. Check me out in the links below. We've got, if you haven't already, check me out on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all that other stuff. I'll talk to you guys later. And as always, have a great day.